My name is Mrs. Linda Nati. I'm a wife, a mother of 3 beautiful kids, and an accountant. Okay, so I got married in the year 2011, and then my husband and I decided to use a year to just play around, not expecting to start a family anytime soon. So in 2012, we actually started trying for a baby, and then God being on our side, I got pregnant. And then when I got to 26 weeks, one Saturday I was there, I was feeling abdominal pains and a serious backache. So I had to quickly call my husband, and then we went to the hospital. And then whilst on our way to the hospital, I delivered in the car. We couldn't even get to the hospital at all. And when we got to the hospital, the nurses examined the baby, and then they told me he had expired. Whatever that means, no one can tell. So they paid rather more attention to me, and then the baby had to be buried. That was at 27 weeks. And then my second pregnancy, I got pregnant in the same 2013, and then at 10 weeks, I lost that one too. And then I got pregnant again in 2014, sorry. That was the third pregnancy. I got pregnant, and that one too. When I got to the hospital, the doctor told me he has realized from my history that I don't have a problem getting pregnant, but then I rather had a problem with keeping the pregnancy. So he told me he will do a cerclage, a cervical cerclage. That is a stitch to the cervix to keep the baby in till I'm ready for delivery. So, but before he will do that, he wants to monitor me till we get to 20 weeks. But then we went through, and then when I got to 20 weeks, all seems clear. There was nothing wrong with the cervix. So he said, why not? Let's keep monitoring and see. And then when I got to 24 weeks, what seems clear was now becoming a problem. But then it was too late for the stitch as he recommended. So that one, when I got to 24 weeks, I was there on a weekend as well, and I had the same pain I had in 2013. So I was taken to the hospital, and then immediately the doctor examined me. He said, no, the baby's head is already coming out. So they had to quickly rush me to the labor ward. In less than 5 minutes, the baby was out as well. That was the third pregnancy I had lost. And then I had to go into a depression mode. Family and friends had to come in. I was just shutting them off. After some months, I got pregnant again with the fourth one. And no one knows what caused this one too. At 10 weeks, I lost it as well. And then how I got my 3 beautiful kids started with the 5th pregnancy. I got a new doctor who listened to my previous history and then recommended and got a plan for me. A plan with a cervical stitch as the first doctor recommended. We also brought in progesterone supplements and baby aspirin, so many things just to make sure this pregnancy, I don't lose it at all. And then at 13 to 14 weeks, I had the cervical stitch. Then everything was going on smoothly. And then at 24 weeks again, I don't know what normally happens at the 24 weeks. When I immediately get to the 6 months, seems things start getting bad. I went for my usual antenatal, and because of my previous history, the doctor asked that I come to antenatal at every 2 weeks. So I went for my usual antenatal, and the doctor checked, and he said no. After doing the transvaginal scan, doing the transabdominal scan, he said the cervix, the stitch that they did at first is opening. So they had to admit me on a bed rest for some time before they would know whether to discharge me or not. So I got admitted in a hospital, strict bed rest. I couldn't get up to do anything. The only time I got up was to sit up and eat. After that, I have to just lie down. And then I was admitted for 2 weeks. It was in a government hospital. So the room that I was in, something terrible happened. I don't want to go into much details. And then I personally requested that I be discharged because I couldn't sleep there that very day. So I was discharged, then I went to my doctor in a private hospital. He works in a public institution and a private institution as well. So when I went there, he checked my cervix and said, because of the 2 weeks complete bed rest, so the cervix is now closing. So maybe you can resume your normal duties. That was good news to hear. So I started my normal duties. I had to resume work. I went, and then within a week, I started feeling the same pains I was feeling. So I went back again. And then when I went, they told me now the stage the cervix has opened to, they had to quickly rush me to the theater again. It was around 11 p.m. that very day. And I was rushed to the theater, and a second cervical circlage was placed. And after that, the doctors advised, now no baby, no hope. And I was around 27 weeks at that time. So I had to stay in the hospital. Now I was always given a particular nurse to take care of me, to ensure I don't even get up on my feet to go to the washroom. So if I had to go to the washroom, I had to use a pan to wee-wee, to popo. I had to take bath once a week. And even with that, I couldn't even stand on my feet. I had to sit on a chair because immediately I get up to take my bath, I'll be feeling heavily as if the baby is dropping out of me. And I don't know if you feel what I'm talking about. So I had to let my husband come in and then bath me once a week. That is what I was permitted to do. And then that is what I did. And around 36 weeks, I was discharged to go to the house and get prepared and then come back to the hospital for whether vaginal delivery or CS. But then I opted to go for the CS. And then it was booked. And then on the day the CS was done. And it wasn't easy, but then the very day I had my first child, that was the 5th pregnancy. The whole night I couldn't sleep. I just had to sit beside the bed, look at the baby on the bed. Throughout the whole night, although I was in pain because of the incisions. So I couldn't sleep. I was just looking at the baby. I just couldn't believe I also had my baby. And then with the 2nd pregnancy, we were actually preparing for it just because we had already wasted 4 years, not as in total waste, but then God had a plan for us. But 4 years had gone already. So we were in a hurry to get our children. And then by God's grace, after 7 months, after I've delivered my baby, I got pregnant again. And then by God's grace, with the doctor's plan too, I went through safely and I had him. And then 2 years afterwards, God blessed us again. That one too, we were expecting it because we actually planned. We didn't want to waste any more time. And God answered our prayers and He blessed us with a 3rd baby. And then she's a baby girl. She's currently 19 months old. Okay, so with the delivery, I personally opted for cesarean section in all the 3. I chose that one not because people would say I don't want to push or something, but then I chose it because I've gone through a lot. I've had miscarriages. I've had babies that I actually gave birth to, pushed them out, but then one way or the other they couldn't survive. I heard the terms expired. I was asking myself, why are they tin tomatoes, or are they a canned products? Are they some groceries or something that will expire? But then, so when I was given the option to choose whether I want a cesarean or vaginal birth, I just went with the cesarean section just because I knew my doctor, who knew most of the things about me, will be there to deliver the babies himself for me, and I'll have my baby safe in my hands. So my deliveries were smooth, maybe 1 or 2 times out of the 3 times. While during the surgeries, I wasn't feeling okay because of the lights, the light in the theaters and the instruments. When you see them, it makes you a bit uncomfortable. At some point, I couldn't even breathe. They had to put the oxygen on me, and the oxygen itself was making things worse. So my doctor had to place his phone beside the bed so that I could listen to some gospel music to just bring my pressure down. And it still didn't work, so they had to, immediately they brought the baby out. I don't know what they mixed with the IVs. I slept, and by the time I woke up, I was okay. So through it all, I did CS with all my deliveries. Okay, so on the delivery, as I said earlier on, all the 3 babies, I delivered through CS. But on all the due dates, I had to go into the hospital because I've already booked for an appointment. So I get there, they check my vitals, they take me to my room, they check the things that I'm supposed to bring for the baby and for myself, and then they arrange and take me to the theater. When they take you to the theater, they will ask you to go down a bit, and then they'll let the anesthetist put a needle behind you. They call it spinal or something. And then it will numb you from waist down. And then they will ask you to sit down for a while, maybe for some 5-10 minutes. And then they will let you lie down. They wrap something cold on your tummy and ask you if you feel it. Some of the nurses will try to pinch you. And they'll ask you, what's here now? And then they will finally tell you that, start a conversation with you just to take your mind off what the doctor is going to do. And then they'll put something to like a curtain in front of you so that you don't see what the doctors are doing behind the curtains. And then they will start. CS normally doesn't take time. Within maybe 15 or 20 minutes, you hear your baby crying. I think what really takes time is when they are stitching back the wound. That is when it takes time. By bringing the baby out, it doesn't take time. But because of the lights there and the instruments you see for the very first time, you get a bit shaken. The nurses were having a chat with me just to take my mind off what I was seeing in the operating room. And then my doctor too was trying to have a chat with me that Linda, it's a South African gospel song. Listen to it and that it will help you calm down. But then still, my dear, it wasn't easy. So all that they had to do is quickly bring the baby out, and then they put something in my drip, and then I fell asleep. And then when I woke up, I forgot something. The doctor told the nurses to come and show the baby to me. And because I was not feeling that good, I just looked at the baby and made the baby share in the home. So you know, when you give birth in the hospital, I've heard several myths that if you don't maybe look at your baby, they can swish or swap your baby for you. So I had to just look at maybe the hairline, or maybe if there is a birth mark or something on him, just to identify him when they take him to the nursery with the other kids. So I saw him, and then quickly, I don't know what they did, they put something in the IV, and then I fell asleep. When I woke up, I was in the recovery, and then I was shaking. I didn't understand. I was shaking, I was shivering. I couldn't understand. So they called the anesthetist, the people in the operating room, and then they said I'm reacting to some medicine, one of the drugs they mixed with my IV. So they covered me with like 4 or 5 blankets, and they asked me to relax. I relaxed and tried to sleep again. I felt asleep, and after I woke up, I was feeling okay. And then they wheeled me to my ward, the room where I first came in. So that was with the first delivery. The second delivery, that one too was with CS, through a CS. So I told the anesthetist how the first one went. So I don't know what he did, but then I was feeling relaxed throughout the whole period. I never felt like vomiting, I was never shaking, I was never scared. But I was feeling very relaxed. And with that particular one, with the second baby, my husband was with me in the theater right through the procedure. But at some point, he couldn't stand the way they were cutting me up and down. So he just said, and then he went, and then I went through, they brought the baby out. I was looking at them while they were cleaning him. He was crying and stuff. The third baby too, through the CS, the same procedure. You get in, they check your vitals, they check the position of the baby, take the last scan, they take you to the operating room. And through, because I've had surgery like twice, and I've done twice already, I have the experience already, so it wasn't that scary. And I went through, and then I knew the procedure already and how to take care of myself afterwards. So it was a little bit easier. All I wanted is for me to have my children in my hands, safe and sound. Wow, seeing my baby. My dear, as I said, when they showed the baby to me, I just told them to bring him closer to me, and I just gave him a peck on his cheek. And then, because I was not feeling good, they dragged me, or let me say something like that, and then I felt asleep because my BP was up because of what I was seeing. That was my first time being in a theater room. And then, after I recovered, they took me out of the recovery room to my ward. I was with the baby, and I couldn't sleep. That's the truth, because I've already suffered like 4 miscarriages already. Lost 4 babies. 2 were boys, 2, because they were 10 weeks early, I couldn't know their sex. But this one, I had him in my arms. How could I sleep? I was just looking at the baby was sleeping. It's an American, is a big bed like that. And I take a I couldn't sleep. I couldn't blink one eye. From the time you didn't bring me 11 p.m. till the time I did change. So it was when in the morning that my mother-in-law came around. That is when Oba and I say, Mama Waba, so mijo na 9. That is when I turned myself, and then I had to try and sleep. But no crowd me die. Yes, you do one. Me made the man check it time. Yes, you do one. I was asking, where is my baby? Because I was scared. Maybe, but I'm sorry, na me banana. Then it will all be a dream or something. I said no. And I always wanted to hold him in my arms. After delivery, let me chip in one thing. After delivery, it wasn't easy. And I don't know if it's with me or with some other women, so I can't tell anyway. But with me, after every delivery, the very first week, when I'm being discharged and I go home, I cry. I cry and I don't understand. I don't know if it's another form of depression. Maybe they'll call it postpartum depression or something. But then I get moody, even with the baby with me. When nobody is around me and I'm left with the baby alone, I cry heavily. Someone will ask me that, but then I think about 1 year, 9 months. Look at the pain you go through. Carrying the baby, you're not able to maybe dress as you want to, you don't even look beautiful as you are supposed to. We go through all this. Wow, at least obisuji akola no hwe ne kakra mom. So that also if you say 1 month vacation because you were home, a parenthood. But enter, you have CS, the incision pain, you have to take care of the site, otherwise it will get infected. And then the baby too is lying there crying. And I don't know with my kids, none of them too likes to be bottle fed. They wanted to right from the source. Even right from the source, maybe I can say natural milk, and you are expressing it to give it to them, whether through a bottle, whether through a spoon, whether through a cup. My dear, none of them will take it. They want it right from the source. Until you don't get time to go anywhere, you have to be at home at all times. Even if to go to the salon, you have to let maybe your salon person or the owner come to your house to come and take care of, to come and do your hair, to come and do your nails, to come and do everything for you. So imagine that one, and then also having 2 extra kids, making it 3. It's not easy. It's not easy being a wife, being a mother, taking care of 3 kids. At some point in time, when in the morning, when you wake up like 4:30 or 5, getting them ready for school, it's a problem. This one wants this, this one wants this. The first one will say, Mommy, I don't want calipo, I want series. The second one will say, Mommy, I don't want series, I want mold. The last one too will say, Mommy, I don't want this, I want that. And this one will be crying, I don't want to bath. And meanwhile, you have work to go. If you are late, you'll be queried. The same time to maybe your husband will be there. He also wants his breakfast. He can help himself with the breakfast anyway, but you still have your wifely duties to perform. So you do all these things, and at the end of the day, you don't even get time for yourself. But when you look at the kids and you look at how they are running around, you look at them, you are just proud and you are grateful to God for blessing you with them. Because at the end of the day, they came out of you. You actually baked them in your womb by God's grace. And I'm always happy and proud of them. Okay, so life with kids and with surprises. Myself, at first, I didn't know how I used to be strong like this. Before the kids came into our lives, I personally wasn't getting up before 6 a.m. No way. But now I get up around 4 a.m. and it's not like it's an alarm that will wake me up to get up at 4 a.m. I get up at 4 a.m. and then I do things that I didn't at first even think I would do. Sometimes my mother comes to visit us and then he will be, hey, one power me. Then I'll tell her, say, and then when you have kids and you know they came out of you, you would know, say, way you thought you never had it, but you have it. And it makes you become more prayerful, more humane, more, I don't know the word to use, as in you feel for humans. That is when you get to understand why this thing happens, why you have to do this, why you have to do that, why you don't have to do this. So with being a mother, it teaches you so many things that you thought you never knew, or things you thought you never had in you, all will come out when you become a mother. I promise you that. Okay, so with my breastfeeding aspect, with the very first child, my surviving first child, breastfeeding wasn't easy. How to even position your breast in the baby's mouth is a problem. Fine, when you go to antenatal, they try teaching you, but then it's not like as if they put a human mother or a human being there and they actually bring a baby to show you physically how they do it. Maybe they can bring a toy, something, to come and show you how you position the breast in the baby's mouth. So when they gave the baby to me, I had to breastfeed him. And when I put the breast in the baby's mouth, my mother-in-law was saying, no, I know they are less than 5 seconds. Because you know when they are young, they taking the breast, getting hold of the breast to actually suck is a problem. So you would have to know how to position it. And the nipple is as it's slanted at chia. It's not knowing this or no half, no half, or I don't know. And in less than a week, I had nipple sore. And when I told my mother-in-law, she told me, say, it will happen. And if I say because I have the sore, the sore will not go. So the best remedy for nipple sore is sell the more all and that I also have to try and position it well. She taught me. And I'm here. Then after some few weeks, it stopped. But the second child is still happening again. Meaning, the third child is still happening again. What the omega say from Kutonia idea, it will ease the pain. But mind dear, with all the 3 kids, beginning first week, second week, I had nipple pain. But then the subsequent weeks, it stops, and then everything is good. I had excess supply. Sometimes I saw the breast pad like 2 or 3 years. So if you sleep too much, the whole bed is, as in that portion, I'll do it for 2 years, it's even wet. So breastfeeding, the beginning, it was a bit difficult, but as time goes on, it was very easy. And all my children had the weight they were supposed to have. The cervical incompetence is one terrible disease that I was diagnosed with, especially with the third baby, the one I lost at 24 weeks. It actually comes in a woman's life. It's not like you do something for you to be diagnosed with. If you read online, they will tell you that maybe you had an abortion, or maybe you had a trauma or something surgical to your surgery that caused it. But cervical incompetence can come in any form. You can even be born with it. And you being a black woman or a black lady, you are very subtle to get it. So I was diagnosed with it, and that was what was causing my miscarriages. I didn't know. So maybe if I had known earlier on, and I have not got a good doctor who understands the situation, my kids that I lost wouldn't have been lost. But then when I got a good doctor and he did the cervical stage to keep the babies in, he gave me the progesterone supplements and prayed with me. Prayer is one thing I've forgotten to talk about, but it should be one of the main things when you are pregnant. You shouldn't forget to pray, because when you are pregnant, you are easily accessible to whatever forces around. So he helped me with prayer, he helped me with the plan, physically and spiritually. And through that, I was able to get my 3 children. I know there are some women out there who are also going through or losing their babies within the 2nd trimester, anywhere between 16 weeks and 28 weeks. When you are losing your babies, know that something called cervical incompetence can cause it. And if it's the one causing it, please don't lose hope, don't lose trust in God. The same God above who helped me or who helped me to my 3 children will be the same God. Just trust in him and get a good doctor. And just follow the rules and regulations. As I've had mine, so will you have yours. I'd like to also thank my husband, Mr. Nate, wherever you are. I'm sure you get to watch those videos. So thank you very much for everything you did for me and you are still doing for me because you are still my husband. Thank you very much. God bless you. Throughout the journey to being a mother, you've been with me. Currently, the things you do marvel me because not all men, not all husbands will take the time to do all the things you do for our kids and myself. God richly bless you. I'd like to thank the Jomo Baby team for taking all their time to come from Kanda to my place to take out the story. I'm really grateful to you guys. God bless you, because I'm sure it will go a long way to help other women out there. And then secondly, I would also like to thank Dr. Amofa, wherever you are. I'm sure one way or the other, this will come to your side. So God bless you. And also God bless you too, and thank you to the team at Cesarean Specialist Hospital. They really helped me get my children. God passed through them to help me. So keep up the good work there, the nurses, the doctors at Cesarean Specialist Hospital. And to any woman out there praying for the fruit of the womb. I'm not God, but then I can assure you that with God, all things are possible. I never dreamt, so it got to a time, I never thought I also I'll have my baby, thought less of having 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl. Now they are all running around happy, healthy, and all is by the grace of God. So if you are there praying for the fruit of the womb, have hope and faith in God that you also have yours. Keep praying, for God is the answer.
Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, share. Ajomo Baby on Facebook, Ajomo Baby on Instagram, Ajomo Baby on all other social media platforms.